first step, and there are many steps to come in achieving those goals. I also encourage the administration and Senate leadership to coordinate and ensure that the CFTC is fully constituted and adequately funded. While the CFTC is the right agency for this new responsibility and is under the excellent leadership of Chairman Seelig, it's essential to have a completely staffed, bipartisan commission, and just as importantly, the resources necessary for this large undertaking. I now recognize my friend and colleague, Senator Klobuchar.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and I truly appreciate the bipartisan efforts of this committee in many ways, but particularly the need to address the regulation of digital commodity markets. Last July, as our colleagues are aware, this committee held a stakeholder hearing in which we heard agreement on the need for a regulatory framework for spot markets in digital commodities that provides certainty and encourages innovation while at the same time ensures customer protection, which is one of our main goals, market integrity, a level playing field for market participants, and appropriate safeguards against money laundering and illicit finance. I truly appreciate the work that you've done, Mr. Chairman, as well as Senator Booker, who is leading our efforts here and is the ranking member of the subcommittee with jurisdiction over digital commodities. We have strong ranking members on our subcommittee, Senator Bennett on conservation, Senator Welch on rural development, Senator Slotkin on livestock, and also very significantly Senator Lujan on the work we've been doing on food nutrition. So the progress that has been made here is good, but I think we believe that we're not quite done yet. Senator Booker and I have talked about this several times, and while the bill before us today does not yet have bipartisan agreement, I hope we can continue to negotiate as this bill moves forward. Additionally, the bill can't be considered in isolation. Parallel legislation within the jurisdiction of the Banking Committee remains unresolved, despite a lot of work that's been done on that front, and we think that that uncertainty has to be resolved. And we believe there's several key issues that must be addressed on ethics, on safeguards regarding public officials and market participants so that regulatory gaps aren't exploited in any way for, for personal gain. Second, we have to protect the independence of the CFTC. And while I appreciate that you, Mr. Chairman, have expressed support for appointing a bipartisan group of commissioners, we can't give the CFTC this broad new authority when it only has one member, one Republican member. Finally, we have to strengthen consumer protections to ensure that customer assets are protected, conflicts of interest are mitigated, and regulatory gaps are closed. But I want to just conclude by saying I truly appreciate the countless hours of work that our colleagues, my staff, their staff, have put into these negotiations, particularly you, Mr. Chairman, and you, Senator Booker. And I look forward to working with both of you as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. And also, I want to echo the hard work of our staffs. We're kind of at the tip of the spear, but we know who does all the work, and they do a tremendous job. And in this case, you know, it's very complex. I think we would all agree with that completely, and they've just done a wonderful job. At this time, I'd like to recognize Senator Booker, and it's been a real pleasure with him, working with him and his staff as we've gone forward. And because of his help, I think we were able to make significant progress.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman, for your generous words. It's been actually a great experience working closely with you through this process. And I, too, want to thank the staffs. It's a great experience I have when I lean in so much. I get to know like staff members on my Republican sides by name. Your staffer, Nathan, still has not shaved his head, as I've requested, which I think is an obnoxious act of defiance. But despite that one small hiccup, this has been a great experience. I want to thank Senator Klobuchar whose leadership and extraordinary partnership in this effort has really enabled us to move the ball down the line. It has really been a privilege to work on these issues. And when Senator Klobuchar asked me last fall to help advance this bill, my team and I have taken it very seriously, and I've been very grateful for a lot of the folks on this side of the table who have really, really leaned in to master some complex issues. Look, we are in a point in American history that is exciting. It should excite everybody in our country. Digital assets and the ecosystem of innovation around financial services, blockchain technology, and decentralization that surrounds them is already a $3 trillion market, a figure that represents millions of customers. It represents thousands and thousands of tech jobs, startups, small businesses across the country. We are seeing an innovation explosion going on because of blockchain technology. This should excite everyone. What I and so many of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle see is that we are standing on the cusp of extraordinary humanity-changing breakthroughs that could give Americans a financial system that is faster, cheaper, and more inclusive. I have seen in my own community that the system we have right now often screws customers, hurts their ability to access financial markets. There is a democratizing force, or at least potential, that is moving across our country and across the world. And that's why in September, 12 Senate Democrats came together to say, we want a market structure bill. Because if we don't get market structure, the threats from around the world could actually make this light and possibility darkness and something we would regret. And so we laid out, as Democrats, what we needed to get there. It's why we have negotiated in good faith to get this bill done in this committee, through this committee. Senator Boozman and I have worked so closely together and productively. And in November, we were able to put together a bipartisan discussion draft, something I am so proud of. One of my better experiences in the Senate was getting this draft done and really putting together principles that have nothing to do with left and right, but principles that we could stand on with integrity. I believe that this could get the bipartisan support on the floor. In our joint press release, we said our bipartisan discussion draft included, and it's important to quote here, we said, a clear definition of digital commodities and the establishment of a spot market digital commodity regulatory regime within the CFTC. We said together that we want robust consumer protections, including customer fraud, customer fund segregation requirements, conflicts of interest safeguards, appropriate customer disclosure requirements, and prohibitions on certain affiliated trading. We also said we want a trading registration regime designed to facilitate liquid and resilient regulated markets while, very important, protecting retail participants. We also said we want requirements for the CFTC and the SEC to coordinate and collaborate on necessary interagency rulemakings that this new area of technology demands. We also said, very importantly, we want protections for self-custody and innovative technology. We do not want to be criminalizing people who are writing code. And we said a new funding stream for the CFTC to stand up a spot market regulatory regime. The CFTC does not have the resources to do all that this committee is asking. And so I was excited. I went into the holidays. I got married. I had fun. It was extraordinary. And I came back to this committee. TMI? TMI, I'm sorry. I was so excited I almost drank milk in the committee.
Good morning, everybody. Morning.
But then I come back to
today.
Washington and start the year with the news that my Republican colleagues were walking away from the bipartisan process that produced the draft, and was also walking away from a lot of the very things that I read in the policy framework that held our agreement together. To be clear, the product put before us today is not the bipartisan draft that we're working on. It was negotiated with two parties at the table, but it isn't in accord with the principles we laid out in November in a bipartisan way. However, despite this, I still deeply believe in the work that we've done. We've come so long. In football parlance, I don't know if you know anything about this, Senator Tuberville, but in football parlance, we moved from our own goal line all the way down 70 yards. We're almost in the red zone on this bill. And that frustrates me because I see a bipartisan glide path to land this plane, to punch through the end zone, and I hope Senator Tuberville and I can do an end zone dance together. But what divides us here isn't some fundamental disagreement on both sides. It really isn't. This is not some kind of regular Washington partisanship. We've got this short distance with a clear path forward. This path is, just like we did last year, for us to sit at a table and close out the remaining issues. In the time since pens have been down on the product that's before us today, I've continued working. I sat with stakeholders literally last night. We were clearing up some of the DeFi differences that are not reflected in this bill. We got stakeholder accord last night. To resolve these outstanding issues, we continue to narrow the gap. I'm at the negotiating table, and I'm working with some of the most interested stakeholders in finalizing what the other short strokes, sorry to mix my metaphor, but in the short strokes, we're on the green. This isn't about partisan politics. This is about the process that we begin to heal and redeem Washington. This should be something we stay together and work together until we get it over the line, because I know this from Senator Boozman, who I also talked to yesterday. There's so much good faith here. I think Senator Boozman, Leader Thune, and then Chair Stabenow showed in 2022, when we introduced our first crypto bill together, that we could do great things. But right now, our inability to work together and move together in this final process is undermining our ability to get it done. I would be remiss before I conclude my remarks to just say, the White House has made this infinitely harder. And I've had private conversations with Republican colleagues, staffers, that agree with me. First of all, the fact that Donald Trump is grifting on crypto himself, it's like me creating a Corey coin. I'd probably prefer a Klobuchar coin. But this is ridiculous that the President of the United States and his family have made billions of dollars off of this industry and are still trying to create a framework here without the kind of ethics that would prevent this kind of gross corruption in our country that would undermine our nation's democracy. And then second, it's outrageous that we've seen in the last year an attack on independent agencies. How could we not have at the CFTC Democratic members at a time that we're doing this important work? So I'm just going to say right now, I've had one of the best experiences I've had in my 12 years in Washington working with Senator Boozman. Truly a good man, as we all know around this table. I'm simply asking, let's get back to work. We can finish this in the next week or two in a bipartisan way, have a celebration. I may drink some milk, soy, and we can dance in the end zone when we get this across the line. That's what I'm asking. But until then, we can't support this partisan draft. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No, thank you. And again, we're committed to continue working with you. And there's all kinds of mechanisms that we can use to amend this bill in the future if we choose to, in the sense of a manager's amendment and things like that. So we appreciate your willingness, like I say, to continue. What we want is a bipartisan bill. What I'd like to do is, this is so important. Many of you would like to speak for a few. I'd like for it to be 3 minutes, a hard 3 minutes, because we've got so much going on at the same time right now. But if you'd like to do that, then let's do it. The other thing is I want to say,
this is full on crypto.
On both sides, you all
this is what you wanted,
together
fam.
so well.
Enjoy.
Very different, which makes us stronger, because when we do come to agreement, it really does represent the entire span of our conferences. So whoever would like to be noted, Senator Schiff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I associate myself with Senator Booker's remarks. I'll accept the wedding part. Chairman, thank you for working with us on this. There's a group of about 12 of us on the Democratic side of the aisle who have been a part of a working group to try to get a market structure bill across the finish line, who've been working on this. Many of the Democrats at this table, part of that group. As a leader in innovation, California understands just how important these developments in technology are. ranging from artificial intelligence to cryptocurrency, all the blockchain applications. We want these jobs, we want this industry to stay in the United States. And that means that we need to have rules of the road where we're not essentially making decisions through litigation, which was the course in the past, and it's a terrible way to regulate an industry. So we need to get this done. And I think we've made tremendous progress. There has been a real narrowing of the gap in our negotiations over a market structure bill. But just to underscore one of the points that Senator Booker was making, it's going to need to include ethics language. Now, this shouldn't be ethics language that singles anyone out or excludes anyone. It should cover all federal officials and those in the workforce, from the Congress on up to the President and the President on down. We need to make sure that we're not in the business of issuing, sponsoring, and endorsing our own digital currencies. That's just rife with problems of conflict of interest and self-enrichment. It's not difficult to really write the rules. It may be difficult politically to get them done, but we need strong ethics safeguards throughout the industry, and I think the industry understands that and is supportive of that. We have, I think, made enormous progress on resolving differences on that issue, and on Title I of the bill, we've narrowed the ground in terms of decentralized finance. We're making a lot of progress, and we need to get this done. I expect the vote today in this committee will probably fall along party lines. That is not reflective, though, I think, of the progress that we've made, and it's my hope that we can combine all of our work product ultimately into a single bill that sets clear rules of the road, protects consumers, protects the financial system, supports innovation, democratizes access to finance, sets strong ethical principles. This is not beyond our capacity, and I hope we can get it done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Slotkin.
Thank you. 2 Democrats in a row. I appreciate that. Just want to say very quickly, similarly, I think many of us on this committee appreciate the bipartisan work, and let it be an outpost for bipartisanship in a sea of partisanship that we now have up in this body. And I really hope that that continues. And a lot of us, myself included, were very invested in getting some bipartisan work done on this issue. It's new. It's the exact kind of thing that the Senate should be weighing in on, and to make it sustainable and durable, it should be bipartisan. And I'm just disappointed that we're here where we are, and it just feels like the White House came in on top of everything and said, well, you're doing this work and you're being diligent and you're being the deliberative body, but we want what we want, and so we're going to shortcut what you're doing and turn this into a partisan issue when it doesn't have to be. I would just say the ethics piece, to me, is a big part of it. And I just think if we're honest with ourselves, if any president, Democrat or Republican, had earned what I understand to be $867 million off of various cryptocurrencies, I know the other side of the aisle would be having a conniption if this had been Joe Biden or Barack Obama. It's just an enormous amount of money. 336 million of that is just from his meme coin. We have to address that issue. It's like a glaring issue. And I get it. Lots of politicians do lots of things. It's just so obvious. And I understand that's hard, but that is the job of a separate branch of government, to push back on that kind of abuse of power. Number 2, this CFTC, it's supposed to have 5 commissioners. You've said it yourself, Chairman, which I appreciate. Make it be bipartisan. Handing over responsibility for oversight of this bill to one guy who, in his own confirmation hearing in front of our committee, was very open about being very pro-crypto industry, just doesn't give confidence that, again, we're going to have appropriate, balanced oversight on a very new issue. And then thirdly, I want to associate myself with what Senator Moran and others have suggested, the national security side of this. While we're talking about these things as policy issues, let's not forget that back home, any hospital of ours that's been ransomed, any K through 12 school, any unit of government that's been ransomed has always been paying in cryptocurrencies that usually dump out in places like Russia or China or North Korea. So we need, if not in our bill, in the companion companion bill real national security language in order to protect ourselves and our people. With those things, I'm here to sign on to that bill. I'm sad that we're having a partisan markup, but look forward to getting back to real bipartisan work on this issue. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr.
Senator recognized.
First, I want to start by echoing the remarks from Senator Booker as well, Mr. Chairman. I also want to thank you. You've been very fair with all the work that I've done on this committee, Mr. Chairman. And as I look to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, I've been proud to work with them, co-sponsor legislation with, I think, each and every one of you. It shows how we can work together. You know, there's a lot of attention to where there's disagreement, but we all know that good work can get done. And I want to applaud you for that as well. I also want to recognize Senator Klobuchar for her work and her leadership as well. And it's fun to know that there's going to be 2 governors from this committee in this next 2 years, but I can't talk about that too much. Now, Mr. Chairman, let me be clear. I remain committed to finding a solution here and a path forward like our colleagues. I'm proud to be part of those 12 Democrats working together, sharing ideas to see what we can do in this space. I've been proud to chat with you a little bit about this as well. Clear rules that are going to support innovation, that are going to provide support to consumers, and that are going to ensure that terrorists and cartels don't take advantage of loopholes. I'll get to that in a minute. Now, unfortunately, when some of our colleagues decided to walk away from that bipartisan bill that many of us applauded in December, I really thought the Ag Committee was in a position to provide the example to the Banking Committee colleagues, some of which are also on this committee, a path forward, because one of us has to go. And if one of us can work on a good, strong, bipartisan piece of legislation, I really believe it provides the path forward to solidifying this on the floor. Now, as you all know, if Democrats wanted a partisan bill, we could have done it when we were in the majority. But that was a bad choice to move in a partisan way, to say, no, I understand basic arithmetic. You know, yesterday, all of the Head Start folks were in town, right, Raphael? Raphael are the only 2 that went to Head Start, by the way. I hope there's more that join us in this body that are members of the Senate. But, you know, I remember this little thing on there that had little beads on it and rods. I think it was called an abacus. And yes. they taught me how to count. Well, 2 years ago, we knew you had to get to 60 votes. The same exists now. We got to get to 60, my friends. And so let's find a way to do that. And let's not let basic arithmetic escape us. And just as my time concludes here, Mr. Chairman, cartels and terrorists, national security. There's not a one of us that serves in this body, not a one of us in the House or in the Senate, that wants to see a loophole that allows terrorists and cartels to take advantage of any of our finance systems. Not a one. Now, we keep talking about this thing called DeFi. Go and have a town hall and talk to your constituents about DeFi and see how many of them are going to
Nobody
be able to
knows
talk to you about it
DeFi.
with clarity. This is about closing loopholes so cartels
But
and
we
terrorists can't do the bad shit that they are doing. That's what this is. If you don't believe me, go sit in a skiff and get the briefings that many of us have received. It is frightening what they're doing. Let's close it. And I know that we can do it. I've spoken to several of my colleagues. We can get there, Mr. Chairman. That's the one area I've been pushing so aggressively. And I hope we call it for what it is. This is illicit finance policy that we should get right so that cartels and terrorists cannot take advantage of these loopholes. I thank you for the time, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else? Before proceeding to legislation, I ask unanimous consent that letters sent to the committee regarding the legislation we are considering today be included in the record. Without objection, so ordered. I ask also unanimous consent that members be permitted to submit their statements regarding today's legislation for the record. Without objection, so ordered. We will proceed with the consideration of the Digital Commodities Intermediaries Act. Do any other committee members wish to debate or offer amendments to the Digital Commodity Intermediaries
I'd like to
Act?
offer an amendment.
Senator Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it very much. I call up Bennett Amendment number 2. The Bennett Amendment would prevent all federal elected officials, federal candidates, and certain members of their
Of
family from issuing
course.
or endorsing digital assets.
Of
It requires them
course.
to place these assets into a blind trust and ensures that those of us who hold public office, Mr. Chairman, abide by the most basic standards of transparency and accountability. This provision is something I've worked on and advocated for over the last year because I think this issue strikes at the core of our democracy. This amendment is not about crypto or even particularly about President Trump. It's about returning to a system of government and ethics that we thought the American people deserved and that they did deserve, that they do deserve. When Jimmy Carter became president, he placed his peanut farm into a blind trust. When George W. Bush became president, he sold his interest in the Texas Rangers baseball club. Think about how far we are today from when those people served in office in this nation's capital. Republicans and Democrats alike understood that the appearance of corruption or self-enrichment undermined the office they were prepared to occupy and eroded the American people's confidence in their government and in their elected representatives, including the members of this committee. But President Trump's series of opaque deals and investments, much of it in the crypto sector, have raised serious concerns about the buying and selling of public favors, not to mention serious national security risks. That's something I do hear about in my town hall meetings. Since returning to office, the Trump family's paper net worth has at times grown as high as $11 billion, Mr. Chairman. Last year, he and his family earned over $1 billion in realized profit from the many crypto ventures they are involved in. Mr. Chairman, I'd ask to include in the record some articles related to that.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All the Bennett Amendment does, all it does, is prevent the President and Vice President, no matter who they are, and the members of the Senate and the House, from pursuing new avenues for selling influence and self-enrichment, something I think we all could agree with. It prevents all of us around this dais and our colleagues in the House and Senate from doing it in will. And by the way, it requires us to put those assets into a blind trust. That doesn't seem like asking very much, Mr. Chairman. I don't know how we're advancing a piece of legislation on this issue without these rules. It seems like the bare minimum the American people would expect from their elected officials, that they would put their interests and the interests of their communities ahead of any possible opportunity for personal gain. This should be the easiest amendment any of us will ever have the chance to vote on. And it's a chance to be able to send to the American people a message that we understand how skeptical they are right now of a political process and the motivations of those in power. Adopting the Bennett Amendment sends a signal to the American people that their government works for them and for their children, that it is their needs and their concerns that are being taken into account and nothing else left in the balance. Mr. Chairman, I urge my colleagues to support the amendment and thank the Chair for the opportunity to raise this issue before the committee.
Thank you, Senator Bennett, and I appreciate your concern and work on this issue for a long time. However, the issue of elected officials and their family members' ownership in digital assets extends beyond the bill and must have input from more members than just this committee if the full Senate decides to consider the issue. For those reasons, I can't support the amendment, and I urge my colleagues to oppose.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to add, if we are going to establish this new regulatory framework, we have to put safeguards in place to prevent corruption, self-dealing, including from those in positions of power who might sponsor, issue, or profit from digital tokens. And I want to thank Senator Bennett for proposing this change, and it has widespread support on the Democratic side. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, as I said, I understand Senator Bennett's concern, your concern, and yet, as Senator Bennett said, this has nothing to do with crypto. And our committee is the Ag Committee, and as a result, this is way beyond its jurisdiction. Anybody else?
Are we going to have a vote, Mr.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, seeing no further debate, the question is on the amendment. The clerk will call the roll.
Senator Klobuchar.
Aye.
Senator Bennett.
Aye.
Senator Smith. Aye. Senator Durbin. Aye. Senator Booker. Aye. Senator Lujan. Aye. Senator Warnock.
Aye.
Senator Welch.
Aye by proxy.
Senator Fetterman.
Aye by proxy.
Senator Schiff. Aye. Senator Slotkin.
Aye.
Senator McConnell.
Aye by proxy. I'm sorry. And I wouldn't do that to Senator McConnell.
I'll tell you what, I thought this was my lucky day, Mr. Chairman.
You're dealing with a chairman that's quite capable of doing it. So, no, by proxy.
Senator Hogan. Senator Ernst. No. Senator Highsmith. No. Senator Marshall. Senator Marshall. Senator Coverdell. Senator Justice. No. Senator Grassley. No. Senator Zoon. No. Senator Fisher. No. Senator Moran.
No by proxy.
Chairman Bozeman.
No.
The ayes are 11, the noes are 12.
On this vote, the ayes are 11 and the noes are 12. The amendment is not agreed to. Senator Durbin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have an amendment that is pending before the committee, and I want to make sure I get the appropriate designation for it here. It is an amendment related to the bailout of crypto intermediaries. I don't have a number right before me. Can the staff identify that?
Durbin 1.
Durbin 1.
Durbin 1. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I propose an amendment that would prevent the Federal Reserve or the Department of Treasury from providing digital commodity intermediaries with a taxpayer-funded bailout. Cryptocurrencies are a risky, unpredictable, volatile investment. How risky? Look at the last 5 years. In November of 2022, we saw the collapse of FTX, in which customers lost $8 billion. Months later, Silvergate Capital, Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, all financial institutions that provided banking services to cryptocurrency, and they all collapsed. And in the last year, we've seen a continuous fluctuation in the price of crypto each time President Trump announces new, chaotic tariff and international policies. For example, since hitting a record high last October, Bitcoin has fallen nearly 30%, erasing all gains from earlier in the year. It's clear that crypto, unlike traditional stocks and bonds, is a uniquely risky asset. That's why polling consistently shows that a majority of Americans say they have no interest in ever buying crypto. Last year, that number reached 64%, almost 2 out of 3 of the people that we represent. If and when a crypto crash occurs, American taxpayers should not be left holding the bag, bailing out these intermediaries, especially corrupt crypto ventures that are owned by the president and his family. It would be unfair to expose taxpayers to the risks of crypto market if they've chosen to avoid the risk for themselves. Here's the bottom line. I'm a crypto skeptic. Unless there is meaningful, enforceable regulation, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. That's my decision. But what if others decide it's worth the risk? The reward is just too big to ignore, and decide to invest in it and guess wrong. Who is left holding the bag? Historically, we've found with the savings and loan bailout and other tragedies in our financial markets, the taxpayers end up holding the bag. For those who are skeptical of this amendment, let me say the obvious. If you think crypto is that solid, don't worry. No need for a bailout. But if you have a doubt in your mind, for goodness sakes, don't let your innocent taxpayer families hold the bag when this is all over. I hope you'll support this amendment.
Does anybody want to comment on it? Thank you, Senator Durbin. Well, I appreciate your sentiment, and I know it's coming from your heart and you're very concerned, protecting taxpayer funding, which we all are very concerned about this, protecting taxpayer funding in the event of a failure of a CFTC registered intermediary, nothing in the bill would grant the CFTC authority to provide assistance to an intermediary in the event of bankruptcy. So they don't have the authority to do that now, so an explicit prohibition is unnecessary. Further, the direction to the Treasury Secretary changes to the Federal Reserve Act are better left to the Banking Committee. This is the Ag Committee. The area that we're focused on today is very, very narrow, and so for that reason, we would oppose the bill, the amendment. Anybody else have any comments?
Just that I don't think people want to have the government in the business of bailouts, and there's widespread support for Senator Durbin's efforts on our side of the aisle.
The clerk will call the roll.
Senator Klobuchar.
Aye.
Senator Bennett. Aye. Senator Smith. Aye. Senator Durbin.
Aye.
Senator Booker.
I'm still waiting to hear a Republican to talk
Senator
for
Lujan.
crypto. It's all been
Warnock.
Dems.
Aye.
Senator Wells.
So, fam, morning. I'm getting heated now.
Senator Fetterman.
Aye by proxy.
Senator Schiff. Aye. Senator Slotkin.
Aye.
Senator McConnell. Senator Hoeven. Senator Ernst. Senator Hyde-Smith. Senator Marshall. Senator Tuberville. Senator Justice. Senator Grassley. Senator Thune. Senator Fisher. Senator Moran.
No by proxy.
Chairman Bozeman.
No.
The ayes are 11, the noes are 12.
The ayes are 11, the noes are 12. The amendment fails.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I have a second amendment which I can offer now if it's appropriate.
Yes, sir.
Again, this guy?
Not only is crypto a risky and volatile investment, it is used to facilitate criminal scams every single day. There's one type of scam that's particularly concerning to me: scams facilitated by crypto ATMs. These machines have been called the getaway vehicle of fraudsters. That's why I'm proposing an amendment that would provide protections for the victims of crypto ATM scams and help law enforcement combat fraud facilitated by these machines. There are more than 31,000 of these crypto ATMs in circulation, 285 in Iowa, 239 in Arkansas, 427 in Minnesota, 1,484 in my home state of Illinois. These machines have been making local and national headlines. You probably receive calls in your office from senior citizens that tell what happened with the crypto scam. Here's how it works. Unsuspecting American receives a phone call that they owe taxes to the IRS or a penalty for missing jury duty. Then the scammer tells the victim they can pay now so it won't be embarrassing to them and their families, and do it at a crypto ATM. They give the victim step-by-step directions. Head to the nearest crypto ATM. Stay on the phone until the money is deposited into the machine and transferred into their digital wallet. Before the victim realizes it's a scam, their money is gone. Sometimes all of their money is gone. Last year, the FBI received more than 12,000 complaints of crypto ATM fraud and found that Americans reported losing more than $333 million from crypto ATM scams. These scams disproportionately impact senior citizens. My amendment would require crypto ATM companies to register with the CFTC and document their kiosk locations. It would require crypto ATM companies to provide common sense guardrails like mandatory disclosures and fraud warnings, daily transaction limits, and that turned out to be a major element. People give away their life savings to these machines as part of this scam. If we limit the amount they could lose in a day, sometimes they'll come to their senses or somebody will come to their assistance. Lastly, my amendment would provide full refund for new customers and refunds the transaction fees, which can be as high as 26% for existing customers who were scammed. It's time for Congress to do its part. 27 states already have some pending legislation or regulation when it comes to the use of these machines. If theirs is stronger than this federal standard, it applies. We do not preempt any state decision. But Mr. Chairman, I will tell you, I've had cases in my hometown of Springfield, Illinois, where senior citizens have stood crying in front of these crypto ATM machines, giving away their life savings because they thought they had no alternative. It is so embarrassing that the $300 a month paid to the occupant, the landlord, is not enough. Some have said, I've got to remove these machines. I can't stand to see this happen day in and day out. Let's do something for the consumers and senior citizens across America. Please support this amendment.
Does anybody want to comment?
Oh, yeah.
Let me very quickly, again, Senator Durbin, I appreciate you bringing this up. This is such an important topic, and I know you've worked hard on it, and I think we all agree with what you're saying. Right now, our colleagues on the Banking Committee have language in their base text around the issue. So I don't want to undermine their work, and I'm happy to work with you and them before the bills are merged onto the floor. So for this reason, we can't support it, but we do support what you're trying to do and, commit to solving this problem, again, as we merge things together and then working with the House.
Just thanking Senator Durbin for proposing this amendment to give the CFTC an explicit mandate for this type of fraud, and we recommend a yes vote, and I think there's widespread support on our side.
Anybody else? Clerk will call the roll.
Senator Klobuchar.
Aye.
Senator Bennett. Aye. Senator Smith. Aye. Senator Durbin. Senator Booker. Aye. Senator
The chair is
Lujan.
doing a pretty good job to
Senator
keep it fair.
Warnock.
As you know, this is the
Senator Welch.
Agriculture Committee. We're still missing the banking, which the banking has
Fetterman.
Tim Scott,
Senator
Lumens,
Schiff.
and more pro-crypto
Senator Slotkin.
senators
Aye.
than
Senator
in this
McConnell.
one. So you don't want to
Senator
miss
Oaken.
the banking too,
Senator
all right?
Ernst. Senator
Subscribe, fam.
Highsmith.
Welcome.
Senator Marshall. Senator Tuberville. Senator Justice. Senator Grassley. Senator Thune. Senator Fisher. Senator Moran. Chairman Bozeman.
No. Yes. Senator Marshall is a no.
The ayes are 11, the noes are 12.
Ayes are 11, those are 12, so the amendment fails. And yet again, thank you, Senator Durbin, for bringing it up, and this is something that we certainly commit to helping you and to getting done before we go to the floor. Senator Tuberville.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to offer my amendment, Tuberville number 1. America is a free market economy, but our markets are not free for all. For too long, we have allowed our adversaries like the Chinese Communist Party to exploit our systems and meddle in our markets, investing in critical sectors, manipulating supply chains, and stealing sensitive data from the American people. My amendment is simple. It would prohibit entities owned or under the influence of our foreign adversaries from being able to meddle in our digital commodity markets. If we are to remain the leader of digital assets, we must protect our markets from those who seek to destroy us. This is as straightforward as it gets. This is about protecting the privacy of Americans. This is about ensuring our digital markets are not compromised by our enemies. This is about allowing Americans to invest without fear of being exploited. My amendment will keep America's digital markets secure, private, and free from foreign influence. I'd also like to offer my amendment, Tuberville number 2. My amendment will clarify what activities require registration as a dealer. We are creating new regulatory requirements with this bill, but we must be sure we don't overdo it. We must tailor it to what is absolutely necessary. We all have confidence in the current CFTC chairman, but we need to make sure that we give the commission appropriate guidance. Simply put, my amendment would clarify that dealer regulatory requirements apply only to the specific activities that require dealer registration. Mr. Chairman, we cannot afford to create an unlevel playing field or harm investors like those back in my home state. However, understanding what we're trying to accomplish today, I will withdraw both of my amendments and ask that you work with me on including these provisions as we work to pass this bill. Thank you.
Does anybody have any comments? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just want to recognize what Senator Tuberville is doing here. This goes to the point that I was making earlier. One of the amendments does. If my colleagues haven't sat in the banking committee's briefing in a skiff, please go down and learn. There are loopholes that terrorists and cartels are using today that the United States knows about. It's been written about in public sources. All the details have not because of classified reasons. If this can't be voted on in this committee, I would hope it'd be part of the base bill here. This is good. This is something Democrats and Republicans should agree on for the good of the American people. And so I certainly hope, Mr. Chairman, that this language and anything else that Senator Tuberville comes up with that's stronger, that it can be included.
Thank you, Senator Lujan. And again, as you mentioned, it's going down to the skiff and talking about banking. And what we'd like to do is work with you and Senator Tuberville, really all of us working together as we go forward to work this out and work with our friends on the Banking Committee and in the House to figure out a path forward. So we appreciate you offering and withdrawing. Are there any other amendments? Senator Moran.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I too have an amendment in a related vein. The amendment I submitted for this legislation would prohibit the digital commodity platforms from conducting substantial amounts of business or maintaining critical infrastructure within the jurisdiction of our foreign adversaries. As digital asset space grows, more Americans interact with the exchanges and platforms that store their data. It is important we make certain that the Americans' data stays out of the hands of our adversaries. Mr. Chairman, the work that you have put into this bill, along with Banking Chairman Scott, lays the framework for how American digital asset companies can operate and offer their services to their customers. The U.S. can and will be a leader in cryptocurrency and digital asset space, but we should not assume that our adversaries will treat American customers and their data how we would. It's an important conversation that is begun already in this committee. It's an important conversation that requires some careful thought. I look forward to working further with the chairman and his staff to further develop the idea as market structure legislation moves forward. I also thank Senator Slotkin for her partnership on these national security and fraud issues. And I also support Senator Tuberville's amendment that would prohibit companies located in foreign adversary countries from registering with the CFTC. Efforts like these are intended to increase the safety and security of American consumers, a goal that we all should support. And I thank you, Mr. Chairman, and yield back.
Thank you, Senator Moran. And again, we look forward to working with you on this. This is something that's very important. Like so many of the things have been brought up, but we need to work with banking. We need to work with the House and come up with a solution, which we're committed to doing. So thank you for offering and withdrawing, but also just to bring us to understand that this is something we really need to consider.
Mr. Chairman, I withdraw my amendment.
Thank you. I just also wanted to add about how important this is. Thanks, Senator Slotkin, for her work on this, as well as you, Senator Moran. We look at this, we've got to be protected by foreign adversaries. So thank you for bringing up this amendment. We look forward to working with you on this in the days to come.
Very good. Any other amendments? Seeing no further amendments or debate on amendments, the question is on ordering that the bill, Digital Commodities Intermediaries Act, be reported as an original bill. I note the presence of a reporting quorum. The clerk will call the roll.
Senator Klobuchar.
No.
Senator Bennett.
Nope.
Senator Smith.
No.
Senator Durbin.
Nope.
Senator Booker.
No.
Senator Lujan. No. Senator Warnock.
No.
Senator Welch.
No by proxy.
Senator Fetterman.
No by proxy.
Senator Schiff.
No.
Senator Slotkin.
No.
Senator McConnell. Senator Hoeven. Senator Ernst. Senator Hyde-Smith. Senator Marshall.
Aye.
Senator Tuberville. Senator Justice. Senator Grassley. Senator Thune. Senator Fisher. Senator Moran. Chairman Bozeman.
Aye.
The ayes are 12, noes are 11.
The ayes are 12, the noes are 11. With that, the bill passes and will be reported. I ask for unanimous consent in preparing these pieces of legislation for reporting. Staff will be authorized to make technical and clarifying conforming changes as appropriate. Seeing no objection, so ordered. And with that, this phase ends. If anybody else would like to say anything about the bill, we would be glad to entertain that. So I know everybody's busy. Well, go ahead. Very good. Thank you to the members of our committee, and the business meeting is adjourned.
You know where we're going right now, fam? It passed. The bill passed. Okay, very good. This one, very nice. At the end, I mean, was adopted, so very good. Now we gotta wait for agriculture. This is gonna pass with agriculture. Now we're waiting for banking. Let's move on to our great and only Fox to be live right now. No, all right, no worries. We'll do RSBN. It's already live. There you go. Here's when it's live. Oh, yeah, it is. Any moment right now, we're gonna have the cabinet meeting. Any moment right now. So I saw that there's a cabinet meeting, so it's good. So while we wait, guys, pretty exciting. These are just hearings, markup hearings. Doesn't mean that, let me rephrase, it doesn't mean that the Clarity Act passed, okay, fam? For the Clarity Act, we need the open Senate to vote, you know, the typical, the classic one. If you recall the big, beautiful bill, that's the one that we were watching very closely. So it's just markup hearings little by little. And I think you heard, right, everything that they were discussing today. Pretty nice. There it is. Oh, look, there's a Senate vote to funding package. That's actually important. That's actually important.
Stewardship functions from Maine to the Caribbean to the Arctic and myriad places in between. The bill provides funding to secure our borders and to stop the flow of illegal drugs, money, weapons, and people being trafficked into our country by cartels and transnational criminal organizations. It includes funding for TSA to help keep Americans safe while they travel, as well as funding for a 3.8% pay raise for air traffic controllers to help address the serious workforce shortage that also can affect air safety. Mr. President, my hope is that we can come up with an agreement that allows us to proceed to this bill and to provide some additional safeguards. And those negotiations are underway right now. But if we don't get on to this package, we cannot change this package. And I think that
we're hearing right now, I mean, as you know, at the end of January, we have the deadline, right, for the funding bill. If not, we're going to go into a shutdown. But we saw the latest polls, and it's basically saying that that it's going to pass. So we're not going to have a shutdown. That's what the latest polls are telling us, right? In moments from now, we're going to be turning into the Donald J. Trump's cabinet meeting. That's going to take a while, so it's going to be pretty juicy. A bunch of Q&A, back and forth, cabinet meeting. But in the meantime, we're hearing the Senate vote. They're doing it right now.
Dedicated. I know the conversations are continuing even as we speak between the administration and Congress on how to complete action on the Homeland Security portion of this package. This morning's vote is about taking the first step, not the final step, to consider the package on the Senate floor. So I urge my colleagues to support cloture on the motion to proceed to this vital appropriations package. Thank you, Mr. President.
The clerk will report the motion to invoke cloture.
Cloture motion. We, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a close debate on the motion to proceed to calendar number 302, H.R. 7148, an act making further consolidated appropriations for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2026, and for other purposes, signed by 17 senators.
Under the previous order, the mandatory quorum call under Rule 22 has been waived. The question is it the sense of the Senate that debate on the motion to proceed to H.R. 7148, an act making consolidated appropriations for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2026, and for other purposes shall be brought to a close? Yeas and nays are mandatory under the rule. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks, Ms. Baldwin, Mr. Banks,
We're just waiting on Trump right now, which is going to be coming anytime. Right now it says set meeting at 11:25. Yep. So almost time. Usually are late, so not surprised. Also at 2 p.m., which is 1 p.m., there's this conversation with Eleanor Torretta and the SEC chair. There's a lot happening today. A lot happening today, everybody. If you wanted some crypto news and everything news, it's today, everybody. Not tomorrow.
Ms. Blunt Rochester.
Here, this is what we just heard. This is what we just heard and watched just then. The Senate AG committee has just passed its portion of the Clarity Act. So despite that we heard all of the no by the Dems at the end, because of the numbers, it passed. Basically, all Dems saying no, all Republicans saying yes, with no Democrats voting in favor. And you just heard what language, what demands, and what angle they're bringing to this conversation. They don't want us. They don't want you. They don't want DeFi. They don't want anything good, fun for crypto. Which, yes, we don't want scams and we don't want people losing money. Right? We don't want that. But we want regulation, but still innovation, right? So it's important to know the difference. So this is what just happened. I knew Eleanor would have it, and it's right here, fam. It's right here. So it passed. We're waiting on Banking Committee soon. Banking Committee, that's what we're waiting for. Senate Agriculture Committee advances crypto market structure. Let's go. That's good news. That's good news for us. And this was it. This was it, right? So we watched it. This was it. Everybody was watching it. So that's why I was like, let's go live.
Mrs. Hyde-Smith, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Justice, Mr. Kane, Mr. Kelly,
But one thing that we're seeing is the age. They're not, young people.
Mr. Kennedy. Mr.
Young people
Kim,
like 40
Mr.
or
King,
so,
Ms.
30.
Klobuchar.
So that's why you have to join the ranks. I mean,
Mr.
come,
Langford.
Senator. You have to do it, guys.
Mr. Lee, Mr. Lujan, Ms. Lummis, Mr. Markey, Mr. Marshall, Mr. McConnell, Mr. McCormick, Mr. Merkley, Mrs. Moody, Mr. Moran, Mr. Moreno.
Look at this. Look at this. Gold. Remember yesterday? $5,500. Gold was breaking every single chart. Alert. Gold erases 1.79 trillion in market cap in less than 1 hour, fam. Look at this. Gold erased what Bitcoin is worth. Gold erased everything Bitcoin is worth today, with over 30 trillion in market cap. Somebody decided to sell. 80% chance Bitcoin drops below $80,000. Here's Lumens. Right to see digital asset market structure pass Senate AG. We're one step closer, and banking is next. I look forward.
Into American retirement accounts.
Take a look at this. We just got this one earlier today.
Into American retirement accounts creates a fertile ground for workers and families to lose big. How do you think about crypto versus any other kind of investment for the average American family out there?
Well, Andrew, a lot of people are already exposed to crypto and other sorts of assets like that through their pension funds, and because they're managed by professional managers in those pension funds. So we're talking about the 401ks now, where we have to do things with respect to the different markets very carefully. We're focused right now on private securities, private equity funds, and things like that, where again, a lot of people are already exposed to those in their managed pension funds, and so we're looking to allow people to have access to those through their 401k, through the professional management of the what is allowed into their funds, their trustees that are looking after those funds. But right. I think the time is ripe to go forward with that in a measured way that has guardrails to protect the retirees.
Beautiful.
Rochester, no.
Wait a second. Oh, we got something here. All right, guys, we're live. President Trump holding a cabinet meeting after sending a massive armada towards Iran. We got a bunch of beautiful news, guys. First breaking news was like, let me give you maybe a nice snippet. Nothing there. Got it. I'm watching everything. Back to Congress. Going back, back and forth. No worries. Got everything you need right here, everybody. Yeah, and then later, later we have Eleanor speaking with CFTC, SEC. Crazy stuff.
Mr. Durbin, no. Mr. Schiff, no.
Go to Eleanor. Price is right here.
In American history, first year, there's never been a first year like this, including the fact that we put out, extinguished 8 wars, and another one we think is coming. Steve Witkoff's working very hard, and Jared and everybody else, and I think it's coming. It was just announced that the murder rate in our country is the biggest take place with respect to Venezuela. I want to just thank General Kane and his staff. Well, the job that they've done is incredible. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And once it did take place, I want to thank the leadership of Venezuela. We're getting along really well with them. The relationships have been very strong, very good. And they have informed me that they feel this very good security, very strong security. We're working with the various people involved, including Chris and Doug and everybody on the oil. We have the major oil companies going to Venezuela now, scouting it out and picking their locations, and they'll be bringing back tremendous wealth for Venezuela and for the United States, and the oil companies will do fine too. Venezuela will actually make for themselves more money than they've ever made before, and that's a good thing. And the people of Venezuela were literally in the streets waving American flags. They were so happy. And the people in our country, like in the Doral section of Miami, which is considered Little Venezuela, they're thrilled. And I just spoke to the president of Venezuela, informed her that we're going to be opening up all commercial airspace over Venezuela. American citizens will be very shortly able to go to Venezuela, and they'll be safe there. They'll be safe. It's under very strong control. And the people of formerly of Venezuela, some want to go back and some want to go back to visit, and they're going to be able to do that. So I've instructed Sean Duffy and everybody else concerned, including the military, that if you would, by the end of today, I'd like you to have the airspace over Venezuela. Planes can go to Venezuela opened up. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank all of the people in Venezuela for what they went through, and I want to thank the leadership for really they're doing a good job. And just as I promised, we've defeated the Biden inflation nightmare and achieved explosive new economic growth. The Atlanta Fed is predicting an astounding 5.4% GDP growth in the fourth quarter, and that's despite the fact that we had a Democrat shutdown. We would have had that number would have been 7%, which is a number nobody's ever heard of. And we've been given great national security because of tariffs, and we've also been given unprecedented income because of tariffs. Part of the income that we gave, $12 billion, we gave to the farmers of our country, so that yesterday I was up in Iowa, and they were very happy, Madam Secretary.
Yes, sir.
They were very, very happy. They were great.
Grateful.
So the GDP growth in the fourth quarter was great. And it's going to be, I think we're going to have an amazing and incredible year. Hopefully we won't have a shutdown. We're working on that right now. I think we're getting close. The Democrats, I don't believe, want to see it either. So we'll work in a very bipartisan way. I believe not to have a shutdown. We don't want a shutdown. And just yesterday, the S&P 500 hit 7,000 for the first time ever. There's never been any time at which it's done like that. And the other stocks also, I think it was 52 times for the Dow, had hit a record high. But the 7,000 was not a number that was even thinkable if you go back a year ago. So S&P hit 7,000 for the first time ever. The stock market has set, it's actually 52, 53 all-time record highs since the election, adding $9 trillion in value to savings, retirement accounts, and 401ks. And I mean, everybody benefits, but we have record stock markets. Companies have never done well. And most importantly, if you think about it, after 4 years in which Biden got much less than $1 trillion of investment into our country, actually it was taken over 11 months, even though we're 12 months. In 11 months, we've taken in more than $18 trillion. So they did less than $1 trillion, Scott, in a period of 4 years, and we've done $18 trillion in less than 1 year. So there's never been anything like that. No other country has done those numbers, by the way, in history. 10 years ago, one country did $3 trillion. No other. We did $18 trillion is being invested now. Thousands of businesses, plants, equipment all over the country are being built right now. And they're going to be opening pretty soon. And when they open, you'll see numbers like nobody's ever seen before. The economy is doing amazingly well. I wish the press would report it, but people are finding out. They're seeing it. It's coming. It's becoming pretty evident. It's hard to hide. Biden inflation, which is really stagflation, cost the typical family $34,000. Think of that, $34,000. But after 1 year, growth in real incomes is outpacing inflation by more than $3,000 under Trump. So one cost $34,000 and one made $3,000. That's a big swing. Gasoline has plunged to, think of this, over $4 a gallon, depending on where you are. In California, it's $7, $8 a gallon. I was in Iowa, and they had $1.85, because I had it at $1.99 a gallon. And I was corrected by two farmers that said, I just bought my gasoline for $1.85. So, Chris, you have to be doing something right, you and Doug, right? But I don't want to give you too much confidence. You got to keep it going. We're drilling, I think I can say we're drilling more than at any time ever in the history. We're taking out more energy out of our land, but specifically, if you look at oil and gas, we've never been anywhere even close. Is that a correct statement?
That's correct. All-time records.
Yeah, great. It's a great job. Well, it's supply and demand, so that's going down rapidly. And you know, when energy goes down, everything else goes down. They tried to do their thing. It was a disaster. Then they ran back very late to the Trump policy, but they didn't do the Trump policy. They cut leases. They did everything that they could do, but they lost it, and they were very high. And we're now less than $2 in many areas, $2.30 a gallon average. Grocery prices, airfares, hotels, car payments, and rent prices are coming down very fast. And you don't hear the word affordability issued by the Democrats anymore. Now they're going into other things because they're getting beaten badly on affordability. Remember that when I was elected, I came into office, I inherited a total mess, starting with eggs, which were 4 times higher than they were just a year before. And Brooke got them down very quickly before Easter. They said they wanted me to buy plastic eggs for the egg hunt, at the very famous egg hunt at the White House. Sir, would you buy plastic eggs? I would buy a lot, like 100,000 eggs. I said, we're not going to buy plastic eggs. And by the time we had the egg hunt, a few months later, we had the prices down pretty good. And now they're really low. Now they're at a very low level. So we really have, you don't hear the word affordability because we inherited very high prices, and we inherited the highest inflation in 48 years. I say the history of our country. I think it sounds almost the same. Actually, I think 48 years sounds actually worse for some reason. So I'll go with the 40, because the press corrected me. I said history, and they said, it's not a history, it's 48 years. I said, I'll accept that. And we had the highest inflation in 48 years. We have now as you saw yesterday with the Fed, I'm not a fan of his, he said that inflation essentially is not a factor. It's really been pretty amazing. I just put out a statement about his statements. I won't repeat them here because they're too angry. And thanks to our tax cuts, millions of Americans will soon receive record-setting tax refunds. You're going to get a lot of tax refunds, with the average refund expected to be over $1,000 higher than it has been at any time. So we're going to be getting some pretty good refunds, a lot of people. If congressional Democrats had their way, Americans would right now be facing the largest tax hike ever. You know, their proposal was to raise taxes very substantially. And our proposal, which is in the great, big, beautiful New Deal. It's a New Deal in its own way. It's a Republican version of the New Deal. Right behind you is a nice picture of FDR. This is a much better deal than the FDR deal. But we have the great, big, beautiful bill, and it's given tremendous tax cuts and a lot of other things. People are now finding out how good it is, and it's just kicked in as of January 1st, by the way. So we're really starting to see it. Even though it's a month, we're really starting to see it. The U.S. economy would be cratering if they had won this election. Our country would be in very bad shape. Would be maybe not much of a country anymore. I don't think it would be a country anymore. They were doing everything wrong, but they were going to give you the largest tax hike in history, and we're giving you the largest tax cut in history in the great, big, beautiful bill. In addition, I think it's very good. I think it's very important. You have no tax on overtime, no tax on tips, and no tax on Social Security, but you also have, you're getting this is the first time this ever happened. If you buy a car, you go out and borrow money, you get an interest deduction. You take the interest rate, the interest that you're paying on the loan, you're able to deduct it for income tax purposes. So that's a first ever, and I think it's going to be great for everybody, including the car companies. I was in Detroit 3 weeks ago. I went to the Ford factory, spoke to the General Motors people. It's all the same. They're doing better than they've ever done. The factory I went to was like a World War I, earlier than World War I factory, opened up. One of the oldest buildings, but one of the biggest. And Ford was getting ready to close it a couple of years ago, and then they saw that I was doing well, and it looked like I would have a good chance of winning. And they kept it going, barely going. And last week they announced, during my visit, they announced that they're going to round the clock production. They never thought it was. I said, did you ever think? I spoke with Bill Ford and the president of Ford. They were both there, and they said, we can't even believe it. We were going to close this building 2 years ago, and now it's going round the clock. They said, we cannot. I mean, they said, we wish it was twice the size, but they're now building additional plants in the United States, as is everybody else. You have AI building, but the car companies, I love the car companies, and you have them, they're all coming back. They're coming back from Mexico, they're coming back from Canada, they're coming back from Japan, and they're coming back from Germany, all over Europe. They're coming back, they're building here because they want to avoid the tariffs. They don't want to pay the 15%, in some cases 25% tariff. Could be a lot higher than that if it wasn't working. So because of that, they're all coming back. One statistic, first time ever, tell them about the steel in Japan, that we are now making more steel. Go ahead, please.
So yesterday they reported for the first time in 26 years, the United States of America produced more steel than Japan. Wow. And that is entirely driven by your tariffs.
Amazing.
Think of it. He obviously said that much better than I did, because I got no applause, and I'm giving you home run after home run. He says one thing and everybody else. I should have saved that one for myself. No, but think of it. First time, and they read almost 30 years, but I guess it's 26, 27 years, that we are now producing more steel than Japan. Japan being a big steel producer. Japan and other countries really took our steel production away from us. Now, if you think of this, 3-4 years ago, the steel companies were all closing up. We worked a fantastic deal with U.S. Steel. We saved U.S. Steel. And now it's all coming about. But and that's just the beginning. There are a lot of steel plants right now being built. So that's an amazing number. Nobody would have believed that. If you would have said that 3, 4, 5 years ago, people would have said, yeah, it's not a true fact. But so it has to be true, because otherwise you question me on everything. I have to be extremely accurate. I don't exaggerate it. I don't want to exaggerate, because you will call me. You don't call other people, but you would call me under my most favored nations policy, which I think is the most important thing, Bobby, of all what we've done, because we're bringing drug prices down by 80, 90%, depending on the way. You could say 5, 6, 7, 800%. Depends on the way you want to calculate it, right? But let's go the old-fashioned way. But drug prices for prescription drugs will be down 80, 90%, 75%, 68%. They've only gone up for years and years and years. They've only gone up, and now we're going to have essentially the most favored nation. We're going to have the most favored price in the whole world. Whatever the lowest price in the world is, that's what we're going to pay. And I don't want to go into a big deal, but nobody else could have gotten this but this administration. I'm being very nice when I say that. The cost of prescription drugs is coming down by a number that was never even thought of. This will have a huge impact on healthcare, by the way, because obviously drugs are a big part of healthcare, and it will help repair some of the Unaffordable Care Act's damage that they've done, because the Unaffordable Care Act, which is Obamacare, it's unaffordable. It's not affordable, and it's a disaster. And hopefully we will be paying money directly to the people instead of giving the insurance companies the money. They'll go into a healthcare savings account or whatever it is. But think of it, we pay the money, billions and billions, really trillions of dollars going to insurance companies. We want that money to go to the people. They buy their own health care. And it's so popular. The problem we have is the Democrats are owned by the insurance companies. They're literally owned lock, stock, and barrel by the insurance companies, and they hate it. But the people love it, including all Democrats. So I think we'll perhaps be successful with it. But it was an idea I had. I read the papers, and I'm reading one of the stories about the insurance companies, how much money they're making, where they received, billions and billions of dollars for this stuff from the United States of America, and their stock has gone up by 1,400%. Think of it, 1,400. One went up 1,700%. Numbers went up. If you go up 1,000%, you're doing bad in that business, right? And it's all because of the money. Not all, but mostly because of the money the United States pays the insurance companies. They say, this is big stuff. And I asked somebody, why don't we just pay the people directly? And they said, that's a good idea. It's funny, it's a very complicated business, but actually it's not so complicated. And I went to Bobby and I went to Dr. Oz. I said, can I talk to you guys about this? Is this the kind of money the insurance companies get? Yes. Why don't we pay the people directly? And the primary answer was that the Democrats will never go along with it. But the people go along with it, because I put it out, it went viral. It went viral. Susie, I went all over the place. It became the biggest story. I just said it. And so I think we have a great situation if we can do it. But if you think most favored nation policy for drugs will bring your drug prices down at levels. So now if they're selling a pill for $10 in London and $130 in New York, the London price will go up to $20 and we'll go down to $20. So we'll go from 130 down to 20. And by the way, tariffs did it again, because the drug company said, we'll do it begrudgingly, but they were okay. But we'll do it, but no nation's going to approve it, because even if you raise the price by, like on a pill, $10 to $20, you're doubling the price of their prescription drugs. I said, no, they'll do it. And when I got them on the phone, I said, if you don't do it, we're going to charge you very substantial tariffs, more money than that's going to cost you. And they said, we'll do it. And before, I don't know that any other president even tried to do it. We can't find it. But if they did try, they wouldn't have gotten through the companies. They wouldn't have gotten through the company, and then they wouldn't have gotten through the country. I spoke with Macron. He was the first one. He was not at that time wearing sunglasses. And he said, no, Donald, I will not do this. I will not. I won't even consider. You're asking me to double the price. I said, you have no choice. You have to do it, because you guys have been ripping us off. In other words, the whole world, we've been subsidizing the whole world on drug costs. That's why they were $10 and we'd be at 130. As an example, there were many examples. I could give you examples even worse. He said, no, I will not do that. And I said, yes, you will. 100% you'll do it. He said, no, I won't do that, Donald. You're asking me to double the cost of our prescription. We will not do that. I said, look, you've been ripping us off now for decades. We're not going to do it anymore. You can do it under Biden and Obama and other people. You're not going to do it under us. We won't do it. I said, well, if you don't do it, I'm going to charge you a 25% tariff on all of your wine, champagne, and everything else you sell into the United States. He said, Like I said, I will do it. And that was the end of the conversation, right? That was the end of the conversation. So now we have favored nations that everybody said would be impossible to get. And I then had the same conversation with 15 other countries. Every one of them agreed after a short conference. They all said no. And then within a matter of seconds, they said, we would be very happy to do that. Thank you for asking in such a nice way. And it's, it's a great achievement. I think it's going to be one of the best achievements we've had in this country in a long time. So we're going to be knocking drug prices down at levels never seen before. I want to thank the drug companies because once they agreed, they really did. They felt it was very unfair. One of them told me it's actually a relief to agree because this has been just a rough thing for me, to justify. Because they couldn't justify it. I said, how come in London I can buy something for $10 and in New York I have to pay $130? And they go, well, it's research and development. I said, yeah, but you have research and development from them. Made in the same factory, made in everything. This is where my friend, who's very successful, I told you, a seriously overweight person, he takes the fat pill or the fat shot. And he was in London and he said, costs $87 there, costs $1,300 in New York. What's going on? He called me up. And, I knew that, but he put it in a very blunt way. I've known him a long time. He's a crude individual, but smart as hell, made a lot of money. But he just thought it was sort of ridiculous. He happened to be in London, and he got the shot, Ozempic, I think, or one of them. And I told him it wasn't working. For him, it didn't work. And he brought up a good point. It didn't work. I told him, he knows who I'm talking about. He's going crazy. He begs me not to mention.
He's not talking about me, ladies.
It's not our great vice president. No, but he begs me not to mention his name because he's become very famous without mentioning his name. And he is actually a very well-known business person. But he did make a point. But I knew the point very well. We were always paying far more than any other nation. We were subsidizing the world. Right now, there's no more of that. So we're going to be bringing the drug prices down at numbers never seen before. It's going to have a huge impact, positive impact on healthcare. So with that, we are going to ask a couple of people to say a few words. And we're not going to go through the whole table because the last time we had a press conference, it lasted for 3 hours. And some people said he closed his eyes. Look, it got pretty boring. In all fairness, I love these people. But
Classic
there's
Don.
a lot of people. It was a little bit on the boring side. But I didn't sleep. I just closed them because I wanted to get the hell out of here. Some of them.
He's 80. Come on, he's 80. It's fine.
I don't sleep much, let me tell you. But it's funny. Some of them got me in a blink. When you go like. And they took me as at the closed segment of my cycle. And they said he's sleeping. And besides that, Marco, between these two guys, if I was sleeping, they'd be waking me up very fast. They'd be knocking me. Come on, you got to wake up, boss. But no, we've had great meetings. Look, we're the most transparent presidency by far, and I love going around the room. But we're going to pick a few people. I think I would like to ask Steve if he could just give us a brief description of how well we're doing in the Middle East, because we have peace in the Middle East now. There's a couple of little minor flames that we put out very easily. And very importantly, we got our last hostage back, which is incredible. Unfortunately, this was something that nobody said could be done. And I will tell you, Hamas was a big factor in getting all of the hostages back. We were not happy with them, and they had to bring them back, and they found the dead hostages, the bodies of hostages. And those parents wanted their sons back, I think in all cases sons. But they wanted their sons and their family. They wanted their sons back as much as the people that had living hostages that we got them back to. So we got the 20, but remember, we got hundreds back previous to that. But I always said getting those last 20 back is going to be very tough. And we got them back, and we got all of the bodies back also, which to those parents was just as important as getting back the son that was living. Steve, could you give us a little description, please?
Well, your policy of peace
through strength. That's what delivered them home. Without that pressure, it never happens. We are in the second phase now. We've stood up for the first time, Mr. President, on your behalf, a technocratic, all Arab government. We've got the terrorists out of there, and they're going to demilitarize. They will, because they have no choice. So we expect that. Pardon me?
And now we want to get Hamas no guns, right?
Right, they're going to give it up. They're going to give up the
There's a good chance we're gonna
AK-47s.
get that. A lot of people said they'll never disarm. Looks like they're going to disarm. And they did help us with those bodies, getting them back.
And that family is so grateful to you. They called, I spoke to them, Jared spoke to them. You know, it's an amazing story. He broke his shoulder, but he went out there because he didn't want his friends to fight alone. He would be alive today but for that. He had no reason to go out with a broken shoulder, and he went out and fought them courageously.
And died.
And died.
That's right. This is a great story, and the parents are great. They were the only ones who didn't, they came back pretty rapidly, actually, considering we had got some back initially with the initial group. After that, we had to get a lot. That's a tough job. That's a nasty job, too. Who would want that one? That's a nasty job. And between Israel and Hamas working together, if you can believe it, they got them back. And we got the last one back yesterday, and the parents are so happy. It's amazing, actually, how...
We sent a message to the parents on your behalf, as you suggested, and they were so grateful.
I guess grateful to me is a much better word, because it's hard to be happy, but they were, actually. I mean, they couldn't believe that they had their baby boy. The mother said, my baby boy back. It's a very terrible thing. Steve, Russia, Ukraine, we're making a lot of progress. Could you explain that?
The Ukrainians actually said that we've made more progress since Geneva than they've seen in the last 4 years of that conflict. So we had 5 Russian generals last Sunday in Abu Dhabi with Jared I and Dan Driscoll, and we think we made a lot of progress. The talks will continue in about a week, but lots of good things happening between the counterparties discussing the land deal.
Talking together.
We have a security protocol agreement that's largely finished, a prosperity agreement that's largely finished, and I think the people of Ukraine are now hopeful and expectant that we're going to deliver a peace deal sometime soon.
And because of the cold, extreme cold, they have the same that we do. I personally asked President Putin not to fire on Kiev and the cities and towns for a week during this. It's extraordinary. It's not just like cold, it's extraordinary cold, record-setting cold. Over there, too, they're having the same. It's a big pile of bad weather, the worst. But it was, they said they've never experienced cold like that. And I personally asked President Putin not to fire into Kiev and the various towns for a week, and he agreed to do that. And I have to tell you, it was very nice. A lot of people said, don't waste the coal, you're not going to get that, and he did it, and we're very happy that they did it.
That's correct.
Because on top of everything else, that's not what they need, is missiles coming into their towns and cities. So I just thought I should say it. I thought it was a very good thing, and Ukraine was almost, they didn't believe it, but they were very happy about it, because they are struggling badly.
I think it shows, Mr. President, how you provide an overarching sort of presence in these negotiations. The Ukrainians never thought it could happen. The Russians are doing things maybe that people wouldn't give them the credit for doing, and I think it always comes down to your indomitable spirit.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was a good thing. If you think it's cold over here, they say in Ukraine you can add another 20% to it. It was a very cold place anyway, but this was, they see numbers that were so, they'd never seen numbers like that, cold numbers like that. So it was, I thought I should mention it. Could I ask Scott Bessett, we have so many things happening, could I ask you to maybe say a few words, please?
Yes, sir. So the One Big Beautiful Bill that was passed on July 4th last year, we're starting to see the effects kick in. You mentioned the great economy. One of the things in the One Big Beautiful Bill, Mr. President, it was an honor to host you, and as you said, the best rapper in the world, Nicki Minaj, at yesterday's Trump Account Summit. We've now had 1 million people sign up for Trump accounts just this week. We think there'll be 25 million families who are eligible. The segment that you and she did has 1 billion hits. 1 billion hits on the internet. So we're telling everyone, go fill out form 4547, trumpaccount.gov. So thanks to you, the Trump accounts, the next generation's America will benefit from today's record-breaking economy, record-breaking markets. Sir, when we came in, the Biden administration had destroyed the American people with the 3 I's: immigration, inflation, and interest rates. Immigration, check, you close the border. The inflation, as we've heard, back down to target. Prices are coming down. And interest rates, we hope there's more on the way. We've got gains in wages, low prices, and I think 2026 is going to be the year for the Trump boom. It's going to be a supply side boom. I enjoyed the trip out to Iowa. In the diner, the staff there was thanking you for the no tax on tips, and they're expecting big refunds from that. We saw the CEO of John Deere who said, thanks to your tariffs, new plants in Indiana and North Carolina coming.
2 massive plants being built by John Deere. And he's the chairman and CEO, wonderful guy. And I said he was at the event we had in Iowa, which is appropriate, John Deere, Iowa. But I said to him, so what are you doing? He said, we just announced 2 massive plants. In fact, they're going to have 1 plant for excavators. And he said, there hasn't been an excavator built in this country in 50 years or something. He said they're taking it out of Japan and they're moving it into the United States. 2 very big plants. And I said, so why are you doing it? He said, because of you and because of tariffs. I said, if we didn't have tariffs, would you be doing it? He said, absolutely not. So it's very important, and I hope we're going to be successful with the Supreme Court case, because we're waiting, and we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars, and we don't want to give it back, number one. And number two, and you know, the people that are fighting us on that case, by the way, are China-centric. These are people that are for China, but they're also outside of the United States. These are countries that have ripped us off for years and years, charging us tariffs. And now we're doing an amazing job, and we're getting it back. We're getting it all back and then some. And they're the ones that are leading that lawsuit that we have in front of the United States Supreme Court. So it's a very important lawsuit for our country. And hopefully it's going to work out. We're waiting a long time, but hopefully it's going to work out. We've taken in hundreds of billions, even trillions of dollars. And certainly we've taken in trillions of dollars of, you know, a big part of that $18 trillion that's coming in is because of tariffs. They're coming in, they're building because they don't want to pay the tariff. And the tariffs are very, you know, steep. They could be much steeper. You probably saw I put out a truth today, and the tariffs could be much steeper. We've been actually very nice about it. But even being nice about it, we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars. And honestly, they've given us tremendous national security. The power that we have because of that. They have given us tremendous strength and national security. Go ahead, Scott.
Yes, sir. And the IEPA power you used on the tariffs, as you said, we're bringing in tens of trillions of investments. The tens of trillions of investments turns into factories construction, which turns into factory jobs, which turns into consumer spending. You've right-sized the government, so government employment is down. Private sector is up. Growth was a stunning 4.7, 4.8% in the past 2 quarters. Biggest back-to-back gains in a decade. And we are doing that with government finances improving. So that will bring down the borrowing costs, the calendar year budget for 2024, 7% deficit to GDP, highest when we weren't at war, not in a recession. all the way down to 5.4% and getting better. Biggest decline since 2014. Generational gains in productivity, soaring productivity. We're going to lift workers' pay, record high prices, record high profits, and stock prices are soaring. You got a manufacturing renaissance, and all the key inflation metrics are trending lower. Over the past 3 months, the consumer price index is just 2.1, and core prices are even lower at 1.6, and I think that that could trend below 1, given energy, as you talked about, the pharmaceutical discounts, and rents. So we're expecting a great year in 2026, Mr. President.
And we're going to be announcing next week, I think sometime, Scott and Howard and everybody, we're going to be announcing the head of the Fed, who that will be. And it'll be a person that will, I think, do a good job. We're paying far too much interest in the Fed. The Fed rate's too high, unacceptably high. We should have the lowest. And I think you read my statement today. I put out a statement before the meeting. But we should have the lowest interest rate anywhere in the world, because a lot of these countries are successful only because of us, because we allow them to have surpluses. And without surpluses, some of the countries that you most respect financially, that you say, oh, this one, that one, this one, that one, they're successful because we allow them to have surpluses. And we could easily stop that with the powers that we have, but we don't. We took some of it, but we took really just a small portion of it compared to what we could take if we wanted to. We should have the lowest interest rate anywhere in the world. They should be 2 points and even 3 points lower. And if it was, each point is the equivalent of, I would say, $500 billion. So if you got 2 points low, you have $1 trillion in saving. And it's almost, if you call it just a paper expense. You can do it with a pencil. It's not cutting. It's not saying we have to get rid of jobs, or it's just like literally so easy to do. But we have a guy that doesn't want to do it because he's, I think he's politically biased. I really do. I believe he's politically biased because most smart people say it's not even a question. But despite that, we were able to bust through. It's like busting through a wall. We're able to bust through a wall, and we have the kind of numbers that Scott and Howard with the steel and other things talk about. What would you say, Howard, in terms of how we're doing, generally speaking? Great businessman, very successful guy. He's doing a really good job. What would you say?
Well, no one, before you walked in the door, no one thought our economy could grow 2%. Fourth quarter, with the shutdown, 5.5%. And that means the first quarter, you could see the United States of America, with its $30 trillion economy, grow in the 6% range. And no one thought that was possible. That's how you get jobs. That's how you get money down. That's how you fix the deficit. You are fixing everything with your policies. You have changed America and created the golden age.
Thank you. And with the help of the Fed, because we really, we want help, not hindrance. Why would the Fed hinder? But with the help of the Fed, with the right choice, if we make the right choice, a lot of times you make a choice, you think it's good, and it turns out to be not good. But with the help of the Fed, we could hit numbers that have never been hit before. We could hit 8, 9, 10. There's no reason why not. And, I talk about, if you go back 20 years, 25 years, I'm old enough to remember, when we had good news, when you announced good news, the stock market went
Pump
up.
it, baby, pump it.
You announced anything good, the stock market went up. You announced bad, the stock market went up. And that's the way it should be. But now it's, over the last 15 or so years, if you announce good news, that means they're going to raise interest rates because they want to kill it. So you can never really be that successful because you announce all record numbers, great, because they're afraid of inflation. But growth doesn't have to have any impact on inflation. It can make inflation go down in many cases. So, and you've seen that with us. I mean, we're growing at a much faster rate than anybody thought was possible. We have very controllable inflation. With Biden, we were getting killed, and we had the worst inflation in 48 years in history, in the history of our country. And that's with going down. So growth is a great thing. It doesn't mean inflation. And I want to go back to a system where when we announce good news, they say, that's great, we can lower interest rates instead of raise interest rates. And by the way, if inflation comes, we'll take care of it when it comes. But they're trying to guess it, and they're trying to get it 10 years before in advance. And, we want to make this country greater than ever before, and I think we're doing that. But we want to make it that when we announce great news, everything goes up. If we announce bad news, that happens too. We bring it down, and we control, and we do what we have to do. But we can have numbers in the upside like nobody's ever seen before. I want to ask Bobby to say a few words, if he would, about some of the incredible things that we've been doing in your department with Oz and everybody else.
Mr. President, we're in the process of implementing your great healthcare bill, which is going to increase affordability, drive down costs, and increase the quality of healthcare for every American. You mentioned MFN, Most Favored Nation. We now have agreements with 16 of the 17 drug companies. And you asked us to do something. Clinton had promised to do this, Biden had promised to do this, Obama, Bush had all promised to do it. None of them succeeded. It was regarded as impossible, and you made it 10 times harder. As you said, not only do I want MFN, but I want them to all reshore their production to this country. And they don't have any money to do it because we've taken it all from them. And I want to make sure we continue to lead the world in innovation. We succeeded in all of those goals. And the proof that we did that is after we signed those agreements, the stock prices for those companies went up $1.3 trillion.
Amazing.
And they are reshoring. Eli Lilly is building 6 new plants, including an API plant. So the next time that we have a pandemic in this country, we're not going to be stuck buying API from China, who cuts us off. We're going to be able to make it right here. Novo Nordisk is building 4 new plants, and we are going to be releasing Trump RX so that every American can get the lowest prices in the developed world. In some cases, they're going to be lower than the lowest prices in the developed world. And that's going to be happening sometime probably in the next 10 days. So we're doing rural health care. We sent out $10 billion last week. The states have that money. They're going to be giving it to rural hospitals sometimes in the next 2 weeks. And we're going to revolutionize rural health care in this country. You are raising the influx of federal dollars to rural health care by 30% over the next 5 years. So 30% every year, more dollars, federal dollars, are going to be flowing to them. It's going to allow them to rebuild their decaying infrastructure, to retain providers.
Let's see what's the latest on X.
To revolutionize the use of AI and other technologies, which is going to dramatically lower the prices for rural Americans and raise the quality of their health care.
There you go.
We did. Brooke and I released the dietary guidelines.
Give me 1 second, Bobby. Give me 1 second. So, breaking AG Senate committee advanced crypto market structure legislation to the full Senate after less than an hour of debate on Thursday. Very good. The U.S. Senate AG committee has just passed the crypto market structure bill. This is what we saw, which is good. We're just waiting for banking, basically. Very good. Remember, we're going to be hearing from him, CFTC and SEC at 2 p.m. East. So right after this, we're going to go ahead and move on to another big, powerful live. This is Crypto Day, everybody. Drop a like. Consider subscribing to the channel. Oscar Ramos Live for you every single day. We appreciate you guys are here, the XRP Army. Let us know in the comments. Comments are on. Alerts are on. Welcome to all the new members and subscribers. And thank you to all my admins. We're really happy to have you.
Is now 70% of the diet of American kids is now ultra-processed foods. That's why we're spending $5 trillion in treating chronic disease in this country every year. We are attacking fraud. We have Oz finding hundreds of billions of dollars of Medicaid, Medicare fraud in states like Minnesota and California, and we are clawing back that money. We also accomplished something that every American has promised, which is prior authorization. Now we have 80% of the insurance industry that has agreed to eliminate prior authorization in almost all of their procedures. So that this is going to dramatically change the experience of every American with the healthcare system. When you go to your doctor at your point of care, before you leave that office, you will know whether the insurance company is going to pay for the procedure or not. And that is going to, as I said, change the experience. We're also doing price transparency, which you asked during your first term. It never got implemented because the Biden administration never enforced it. We brought more enforcement actions against hospitals than in this 1 year, and the Biden administration brought in 4 years, and we're doing a crackdown so that every American, when you go to a restaurant, you look at the prices before you buy the meal. You ought to be able to do that when you go to a hospital, and by the time that we leave office, every American is going to have that guarantee. We're doing a lot of other stuff, but we were told to keep it short. So.
And the autism that's moving along, really, is that?
We've commissioned now dozens of studies, maybe over 100, and we are going to get those done for you.
Good. That's so important. Also, Eli Lilly, Merck, Pfizer, every drug company, they're spending trillions of dollars right now, as we speak, building plants in the United States because they want to be able to save a lot of money on tariffs. It'll be hundreds of percent, 100%, 200%, 300% in 2 or 3 years from now. So I said, you better have your plant built because in 2 years from now, before I leave office, it'll be a sad day. Very sad day for me. But before I leave, every one of these plants better be built because you're going to be paying 300% tariffs. And they're all building their little hearts out. I spoke with the head of Eli Lilly, who's a fantastic guy, a star, actually. He's a star, very smart. And he told me he's building 6 plants in the United States, big ones, in locations that I know very well, but all over the country. Merck is building, and Pfizer's building, and every one of them's building, and foreign companies are building. So it's an amazing thing that's happening, and you're doing a fantastic job. I read an article today where they think Bobby is going to be really great for the Republican Party in the midterms. So I have to be very careful that Bobby likes us. But we're letting you do your job, right?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. You're doing a great job. You and Oz and the whole group, they're doing a...
I'll add this, and Marty McCary has done an incredible job at FDA.
That's true.
Last month, we approved more gene and cell therapies than any time in history. And we're making this a safe and productive and encouraging ecosystem for biotech so that China does not steal that industry from us.
Fantastic. I'm going to ask Scott Turner to speak really quickly about housing because, in my opinion, I have very strong opinions on housing. That's what I did for a long time. I did good with it. But, you know, we got to get interest rates down even lower. They are now pretty low, but we got to get them lower. And I'm a big factor, to me, the biggest factor is interest rates for housing. Only in that, you know, you have a lot of people that have become wealthy in the last year because their house value has gone up. And, you know, when you get the housing, when you make it too easy and too cheap to buy houses, those values come down. I don't want those values to come down. We have millions of people that own houses, and for the first time in their life, they're wealthy because their house is worth $500,000 or $600,000 or more or less, but more money than it's ever been worth before. I don't want to do anything to knock that down, and so I want to be very careful with this. You know, you make housing, I can turn on housing immediately, but you make it too easy and you're going to knock the value down of people that own houses. I want to, for those people, those millions of people that own houses, we're going to drive those values up, but we're also going to try making it easier for people to buy. The best thing that can happen for both groups of people is lower interest rates, and those interest rates are coming down, and with a proper, intelligent person at the Fed, that person will be able to work with us to get interest rates down. That covers all of the sins. It covers everything. Lower interest rates keeps the values up for the people that have housing and lets other people buy housing. And Scott, if you could just expand quickly on that.
Yes, sir. You did allude to when we first came in, sir, you know, our fiscal house in America was a mess. But because of your economic policies, the economy is thriving. And I do have some good news to share. As you said, you know, good news. I hope this will make the interest rates continue to go down. But because of your policies, sir, home sales in December, they rose sharply to their strongest pace in 3 years. A lot of people, when we first came in particularly young people, were concerned and asking the question whether they would ever be able to afford to buy a house in America. which is the American dream. The 30-year fixed mortgage rate dipped to a multi-year lows, driving monthly payments down for the 2 years at the lowest levels. So more people can get a mortgage now. More families can be able to afford to get a home and achieve the American dream. At HUD last year, we helped and supported over 1 million people through FHA and Ginnie Mae to be able to buy a home. 500,000 of those were first-time home buyers, and hundreds of thousands of our veterans we supported. And so that's good news that millions of people in our country are now beginning to buy homes. We also, sir, saw that you are, and we're working with you, making bold action to ban institutional investors from buying single-family homes. Those homes are for the American people. So, sir, thank you for your leadership on that. Also working with Director Pulte over at FHFA to buy $200 billion worth of mortgage-backed securities, driving down even more the cost to get a home. And so we're grateful for those actions. Also, the One Big Beautiful Bill has been tremendous, making the low-income tax credit increase, working with Secretary Bessent at Treasury to produce more projects and more homes in America. And the One Big Beautiful Bill also made our beloved opportunity zones permanent. And the media doesn't talk about opportunity zones very much, but I'll do it today because I know that they have been transformative in our country. Over 1 million people lifted out of poverty, sir, in opportunity zones, 300,000 new units of housing in opportunity zones, and a 3.4 increase in the value of houses.
And by the way, we have to give him credit. Senator, he's a great guy. Tim Scott came to see me, first administration, first term, and he had this idea for opportunity zones. And he gave me the idea. We did it. We implemented it. It's one of the most successful programs in the history of our country, and nobody talks about it. The press doesn't talk about it, but I want to just tell you, Tim Scott, Senator, South Carolina, did a great job, right?
Did a wonderful job, yes, sir.
Did a good job. He's a good man.
Yes, sir. And so those have been made permanent now. Will help millions of Americans to be able to afford to buy homes. Also, the One Big Beautiful Bill has been allowing HUD to make sure, working with the Department of Homeland Security, that every person that lives in HUD-funded housing is an American citizen. A blind eye has been turned prior to us being here to people living in HUD-funded housing, but no more. We're going to take account and transparency to make sure. And so there's a lot of crime that goes on in public housing, but we're coming after the criminals and making sure that everybody in there is an American citizen. So thank you for your support. We have taken possession of our new building in Alexandria, and we're going to save the American taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. So, sir, thank you for your support and your leadership.
Thank you, Scott. Great job. Appreciate it. One of the things Scott said, though, is, again, existing housing, people that own their homes, we're going to keep them wealthy. We're going to keep those prices up. We're not going to destroy the value of their homes so that somebody that didn't work very hard can buy a home. We're going to make it easier to buy. We're going to get interest rates down. But I want to protect the people that for the first time in their lives feel good about themselves. They feel like that they're wealthy people. And I want them to understand it. There's so much talk about, we're going to drive housing prices down. I don't want to drive housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up for people that own their homes. And they can be assured that's what's going to happen. Chris, could you say a few words about energy, please?
You bet, Mr. President. I can say with confidence that your energy dominance agenda is firing on all cylinders. The United States oil production today is greater than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined, the number 2 and number 3 producers. Our natural gas production today is greater than Russia, China, and Iran combined, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th largest natural gas producers. Huge production in the United States. Secretary Burgum at the Interior Department has taken in more money on oil and gas lease sales in the first year of this administration than the entire 4 years of the Biden administration. And beyond oil and gas, 6 new coal leases under this first year of this administration from the Interior Department, and coal production is growing again in the United States after years of decline. And this beautiful clean coal was the MVP of the huge cold snap we're in right now. I can say with some confidence, hundreds of American lives have been saved because of your leaning in and stopping the killing of coal and revitalizing coal. Coal over the last few days, where we're at peak demand in electricity, has delivered 20 times more electricity than solar and batteries. Think about that, 20 times more. In industry,
coal doesn't mind very cold weather. Right? Clean, you're not allowed to say the word coal without proceeding by saying clean, beautiful coal. Clean, beautiful coal. It's not affected by bad weather. Rain, snow, sleet, freezing cold. How does it react under freezing cold weather?
it steps up and delivers big time. In fact, what coal did during this storm was deliver massively more electricity than it was delivering a month ago, because we needed far more electricity. Who can step up?
The windmills, by the way, are all frozen. You know that they don't turn. The windmills aren't turning. The windmills that these fools paid for. The fool is this country, because the people that have the windmills get massive subsidy, and they make a fortune on windmills that don't even work and they don't produce anywhere near what they should be. And it's the worst, most expensive form of energy there is. And by the way, Europe is destroying itself with the stupid windmills they're putting all over their beautiful areas of most magnificent landscapes in the world, and they're just destroying. Europe, bet against smart. Between immigration and energy, they're destroying. It's not recognizable. They've got to smarten up before it's too late. Please go ahead.
Yeah, in New England, with somewhat European energy policies, at peak demand time, very cold in New England, wind, solar, and batteries that you were just speaking of delivered less than 3% of the electricity needed at peak demand time, and that's when it matters. Because if electricity goes out when it's very cold, people die. Over 200 people died in a smaller cold snap during the Biden administration. This was massively larger geographically. We have had no failure of the electricity grid, no failure of long-distance transmission lines. Local distribution lines have iced up and come down, and we have people from all over the country working to get those back up because people need their lights back on. But your energy policies delivered just a dramatically different outcome for the American people. If we'd continued the Biden-era policies for one more year, continued to shut down coal plants, continued these crazy climate restrictions that wouldn't even let power plants run at maximum demand time, we hadn't liberated all the backup generators that are sitting there. We gave up an emergency approval,
So a lot of
run
those
everything.
plants that were going to close, coal plants that were modern and good and threw off very little problem, and that were really powerful. You know, by the way, China does most of everything they're doing with coal. Not that we want to copy anybody, but you know, they make the windmills, but they don't have a lot of wind farms. Somebody ought to look at that. How many wind farms do they have? Very, very few. They make them, they sell them, they make a fortune, but they don't use them. So the coal, I mean, I understand they're using it also as a great backup. So you build a plant, but they have it as a backup in case of tragedy, in case of really bad weather, et cetera, et cetera. They actually store coal on the site of other plants, so that if they need emergency energy, the coal is always going to be there, whereas other things aren't. Is that correct?
Exactly. Coal just stepped up here to 25% of our electricity during this high demand time. Natural gas, coal, and nuclear. They are what run the American electricity grid. The others are ornaments, and often expensive
And you
ornaments.
stopped plants from being demolished, right?
17 gigawatts of coal generation plants were slated to close last year that were stopped from being closure by this
And if
administration.
they were closed, we would be really tight on energy.
We would have had significant blackouts at these peak cold times, and extrapolating from the last storm during the Biden administration, I think at least hundreds of deaths. Because in the South, a lot of heating is done with electricity generation. If those grids go down, people die. So these, and when you're going back to the Working Families Tax Cut Act, or the One Big Beautiful Bill, that got rid of $500 billion of subsidies, energy subsidies, that do nothing but make energy more expensive and less reliable. And under this administration, we've spent massively less on energy, and we've delivered massively more on energy. And when you have more energy, you have lower prices.
It's a fantastic job. You and Doug. Doug said, you got to get this guy, Doug. You got to get this guy, Chris, Wright, and get him as soon as you can. I said, but I want you to run energy. He said, well, I'm good at it, but he's better, right? Didn't you tell me that? So I gave him the land, I gave you the energy, right? And it's a great combination. I mean, they literally have, I said, maybe we'll merge it in some way. They said, we don't have to. We get along. They work together, right, with the land. He's got the land and the energy. He's got the knowledge to take it out. It's been a good combination.
This administration, the whole administration, and your leadership has been very focused on energy because we can push down energy prices, we can lower costs on Americans, and we can raise wages by bringing jobs and opportunities here. It is a transformation of American energy. Thanks for your leadership.
He's one of the most respected people in the energy world. And Doug told me about Chris Wright. They said, if you could get him, what he gave up to do this job, you're making a little less money, but that's all right. You don't care. What you're doing is fantastic. But he said he's the best in the world. Other people have told me that. The heads of the biggest companies have told me that. And it's really panning out to be so. We appreciate it very much. It's great. One of the things we're doing with energy, I think that's so important. We have an old grid, been around a long time, and not really, can't be much expanded. It can be fixed up a little bit, but can't be much expanded. And we have some plants that are so big that the grid would never be able to hold it. We're allowing them to build a electric producing plant, mostly electric, but they can use nuclear to do it, they can use oil and gas, they can use coal, they can use whatever they want. I think many are choosing oil and gas because it's there, it's tried, it's true, it's plentiful, it's inexpensive. Some are going nuclear, some are going both, many are going all three. But the plants, you read, well, how do we ever fire those plants? Because to do this, we need 2 times the electricity we produce in 1 year for the entire country, which is almost hard to believe. These buildings are so big. They're going up now. So I did something that nobody thought was possible also. When they build their building, they build their own electric generating plants. And we are seeing some of the most incredible designs you've ever seen. So we don't need the grid. I read an article in the Wall Street Journal saying, oh, we're falling behind China. We're not actually. We're leading everybody because I'm letting them build. The government would never be able to do that. Now, China's a different kind. They build, they do things that you got to hand it to them. President Xi, they build vast amounts of energy. They don't have certain constraints that we have in this country, but we're more than topping them. We're leading China by a lot on AI, and it's primarily because I'm allowing them to build with their plant their own electricity. If they had to rely on the grid, they wouldn't have any power. You wouldn't have any power for anything. And they're building the electricity. And one of the reasons I'm able to do that is we have a very capable man in the room named Lee Zeldin. He may be in the room someplace. Is it his normal place? He's there. He's always there. Most reliable, solid guy. And he's done an amazing job. Could you just explain that? And also, because of the fact he's so good, California has a problem. The hardest permit to get when they lost 25,000 or so houses, which shouldn't have been lost, they should have allowed the water to come down from the Pacific Northwest, which was very plentiful. But they didn't do that. They lost 25,000 houses. Lee and his team gave them the most complicated permit within 20 days. Everybody, every single house that burned down got the federal approval. Unfortunately, it's well over a year. And the state and the city, that's Gavin Newsom, and the city, the mayor who's grossly incompetent, by the way, they have been unable to give permits. There are like 3 houses being built out of thousands and thousands. They have no permits. So I read about a week ago that it's possible because of what's happened, whether you declare national emergency or something, these people are they're dying to build their house. They want to do something that I could put somebody in charge from the federal government. Congratulations, Lee. And I'm putting Lee Zeldin in charge of getting them their permits, city, federal. You have the federal, you need the city and state, and I hear you have great powers over them if we want, and we're going to give you that power. We've already given you that power. So Lee Zeldin is going to work with the thousands of people that are dying to build their house. And I also recommend one other thing. Give them the house plus a 10% bonus. In other words, you get a bonus, you can build your house 10% larger. They've suffered so greatly, they've waited so long, and they should be given a bonus. So I think, and I've heard this has been done before, they get a 10% bonus. They can build a house that's a little bit larger than what they had before. And I'd like to have you take it over.
Mr. President, your great Secretary of State was looking for another job. So.
He's pretty well booked. I watched him yesterday. He did a great job yesterday, but He's a little booked up. Let's go, Lee. Talk.
When
No more ideas like that, Lee.
When President Trump came into office, he immediately signed an executive order giving EPA 30 days to complete our Phase 1 hazardous material removal so that the Army Corps can come in and complete their Phase 2 debris removal. So at first, the response was that that was going to be impossible. Good luck trying to get it done maybe by the summer. But we figured it out because operating at Trump speed, the president was just sworn in. We had to get it done, and we got it done in less than 30 days. The Army Corps then came in and completed the debris removal. So the federal government, while the governor has tried to accuse this president of not focusing with a laser on putting all of the weight of the federal government into getting this done, it happened from the moment he was sworn into office. SBA came in. I think it was about half of the disaster loan money, billions of dollars from last year went towards these residents and businesses. So the full weight of this government. But right after I was sworn in, which was actually a year ago today, my first trip was to East Palestine because the vice president never forgets his home state. The second trip was going to Los Angeles. There were people with contractors all over Palisades and Eaton ready to rebuild right then and there. You're talking about a year ago. And now the frustration, the passion that we all hear from all of these Los Angeles residents. And President Trump, he's made it clear to us that he's heard enough. And the message should be heard loud and clear to that local leadership. They should be motivated listening to this right now. And when this cabinet meeting is over, if it hasn't been done already, is that they need to go into the office where these permits are just laying around, flip over tables if you have to, fire people if you have to, and get all of these approvals done so that people can rebuild their lives. It's been a year, and this president has had enough.
So whatever you can do, you know, that's going to be very important. And it's so sad, those people, we were there a few days after the fire. You were there with me. We're walking down the streets. The people are devastated. The love that they had for that property was, everybody was going to rebuild, and they thought they could do it immediately. They should have. We gave it to them so quickly, but they can't get their permits. They still can't build, and they're losing spirit too. I mean, a lot of people are losing spirit. And the other thing I'd like to talk to you about and other people about that happen to be sitting around the table. They want to build a low-income housing project right in the middle of everything in Palisades. And I'm not going to allow it to happen, okay? I mean, maybe it's politically correct, maybe it's not. I'm not going to let these people destroy the value of their houses. I built a lot of low-income housing. I made a lot of money building low-income housing. I know more about it than anybody. We're not going to allow this guy to build a low-income housing project on top of everything else in the middle of that mess that was created by the fact that they didn't allow water to come down from the Pacific Northwest, okay? And I'd like you to have that stopped, and stopped immediately. No financing. That might be you, Scott, because they'll come to you for financing. It's never going to be approved. You would never, but Scott thought it was a horrible thing. So there's going to be no financing for low-income housing. Let the people build their houses, and as fast as you can, help them, help the mayor and help the governor get their permitting done, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Kelly, you know, I think you were just alluded to. Are you helping some of the people out there with loans?
Yes, Mr. President. Thanks to your leadership, you also helped put the fires out. Your executive order got water to the scene in your earliest days of your presidency. So you've been there from day one. We've been out there twice now. There had been no changes until your executive order this week that is allowing that permitting to happen quickly. We have 16,000 structures burned. We have put loans out on 12,000 of them for $3.2 billion. More than half of all the disaster money delivered in America went to that area.
Help the mayor and help the governor get their permitting done, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Kelly, just...
leadership, they're going to be able to rebuild. But that's not all you've done.
They'll take the credit for it. Watch. It'll start, and they'll take the credit. Look at the great job we did. They would never, it wouldn't get built in 20 years. And it will be destroyed by building low-income housing next to luxury housing. History says that doesn't work too well. Go ahead.
We're going to make sure that doesn't happen, Mr. President.
Please.
But under your leadership, you've ended at least 8 wars, okay? But probably the most important and underreported war that this president ended was Joe Biden and the Democrats' war on Main Street and hardworking families. We've seen it as I've gone across the country this month, 10 different states, and we saw it when we were together in Iowa. Hardworking families, farmers, small businesses expressing gratitude, lined up to thank you. I was out with our great vice president last week in Toledo, Ohio. They are thanking this administration for getting Main Street back. The Trump tax cuts, the tariffs, deregulation, it's all rocket fuel for hardworking families and Main Streets. And I see it whether it's talking about small business expensing 100% accelerated from Made in America factories, the 20% pass-through, but it's also working families where they have expanded child tax credits, increased standard deductions, permanent low-income tax rates, health savings accounts, Trump accounts. This president is delivering for Main Street. It's the most underreported story in this country. And I see it in Main Street businesses. All-time small business confidence hit a record under this president last year after the Trump tax cuts. All-time small business formation now at 36 million small businesses and a record $100 billion out from SBA because a record number of people want to invest in this country and hire. And whether I've talked to manufacturers about tariffs, they know that this president is bringing manufacturing back, just like Prince Manufacturing in Macon, Georgia. 500 employees machining parts for our defense, our agriculture, our automotive, our aerospace industry. They're going to hire 500 more people this year because of tariffs, because of the Trump tax cuts, and because of SBA lending. And I see this state after state as I've gone across the country, talked to hundreds of business owners, walked dozens of factory floors. This is not being covered, but it's going on in America. The number one problem is they need skilled workers. And this is something I'm working on with Secretary Chavez-Urimer. I'm working across the administration to ensure that we empower our small businesses. 98% of our manufacturers meet the small business definition. So Ford has 5,000 small manufacturing suppliers. The $18 trillion you brought in is creating an economic boom like none we've ever seen before. We are going to have 7% GDP growth. GDP now is probably underestimating where it is in 4Q, but with interest rates going down, with regulation going down, these are all taxes on small businesses, and those are going away. And thanks to President Trump, your leadership, we are seeing Main Street boom. Hardworking families have $1,000 already in their pockets, and when they get their $1,000 refund tax, I hope they all remember that every Democrat voted against them getting their tax refunds, because this is what our administration is doing, is powering your incredible economic agenda forward on Main Street.
Thank you very much. Great job. I do want to say that on my left, I have a man who's doing a fantastic job, and on my right also, by the way. But we're spending a tremendous amount of time and effort on building our military. We largely rebuilt the military during my first term, fortunately, and we're greatly enhancing it now. We're going to be doing something new. We're bringing back the battleship, and I thought, like you remember the battleships from the great Iowa and Alabama, Missouri, those unbelievable scenes that you see, Victory at Sea. You'd see these incredible ships, and I thought they were powerful, but the battleships that we're building are going to be 100 times more powerful than those beautiful works of art. I mean, they were magnificent, all steel. We have the steel now.
What's up, everybody? Just to let you know, we are going to be watching, earlier today, we watched the markup AG committee. We're watching the full presidential. Right now, it's speed talking, and then we're going to be watching the very long-waited SEC and CFTC, conversation, crypto capital of the world. Don't miss it.
Ukraine, a war that never would have occurred. What happened on October 7th in Israel never would have happened under President Trump. So as a result, we're having to rebuild how our enemies perceive us. And when President Trump said, we're not getting a nuclear, Iran, you won't have a nuclear bomb, he meant it. And we sent those B-2s halfway around the world, and they never noticed. When he said, we're not going to tolerate trafficking drugs anymore in our hemisphere, we treat them like the Al-Qaeda of the Western Hemisphere, he meant it, and we're executing that. When you said, Mr. President, we're securing the border, the military was proud to do their part alongside Homeland Security to do that. Same thing with Iran right now, ensuring that they have all the options to make a deal. They should not pursue nuclear capabilities, and we will be prepared to deliver whatever this president expects of the War Department, just like we did this month. No other military in the world could have executed the most sophisticated, powerful raid not just in American history, I would say in world history. What those men did going downtown, another country, the most secure place in the most secure base in the middle of the night without anybody knowing until those simultaneous bombs dropped 3 minutes before the helicopters dropped. No other country could coordinate that. No other president would have been willing to empower those warriors that way to be that effective. And that sends a message to every capital around the world that when President Trump speaks, he means business, and we are reestablishing deterrence at the War Department, Mr. President.
Thank you. Great job you're doing. Just to finish up on that, the Somalian pirates over the years have pirated, stolen many ships. They would get large amounts of money for the ship. You know, you have $1 billion ship, and the insurance companies didn't want to fight because, you know, some of those ships are very flammable. They're carrying millions of barrels of oil. Very flammable, very dangerous situation if they're shot at. So they wouldn't fight. We notified them a number of months ago. Anybody that does that gets the same treatment as a drug dealer sending their drugs in from Venezuela or anybody else. As you know, it's 97% down by water. So the drugs coming in by sea or by water is down 97%. Now we're also starting, that was the more difficult route. Now we're starting to do that by land also. It will be, you'll see that happen as they come in and kill our people with drugs. I think the real number is 300,000 people a year, not 100, but whatever it is, it's a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of people. They're going to get hit. But also we added to the list the Somalian pirates that go out on a boat, similar type boat, actually not quite as fast, not quite as nice as you can imagine, but they get the same missile that we give to the people that are bringing drugs. And so far we haven't seen anybody going out. So the traffic is not being interfered with by people pirating our ships. Not our ships, ships all over the world. I said, make it for any country. We're doing the rest of the world a favor. It's a very effective favor, but we see very little pirating nowadays. You used to have ships being taken every single, like 2 or 3 a week, these massive ships that be brought in to some place in Somalia, which I don't even know is it a country. We have Ilhan Omar left, and then she gives us lectures on the Constitution of the United States. These people are, what they've done to rip off our country is terrible, but the pirating has essentially stopped. They know that if anybody even makes a move toward a ship, they get the ultimate treatment. They will go to wherever they want to go, but it's probably not going to be to heaven. I can't imagine, but they get hit very hard, just like a drug dealer, just like the boats, the ships that are coming in. Every boat that comes in with drugs on it that we take out, we just saved 25,000 American lives. Each boat is the equivalent of saving 25,000 American, mostly American, but American lives. So I just wanted to let you know that, and Pete's been totally authorized to do that. And they know it's going to happen, and it seems that all of that brisk business that they had has been stopped in its right in its foot. So I just want to thank everybody for being here. My cabinet has been amazing. I like this much better than going around for 3 hours. We'll pick on other ones. Pam, you're doing great. We're all doing great. JD, if you'd like to say something, you can. Would you like to really quickly? He is, after all, the Vice President of the United States.
It's okay, sir. I'm here for the free coffee. I just say it's an honor to serve with this group, and we're doing a lot of good for the American people. We're very proud of it.
Yeah, we're very proud of the country. We're very proud of you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Mr. President, why not take questions? Mr. President,
Not the Fed, Mr. President.
On your request, thank you. Why not take it, guys? Thank you. Let's go. Start moving. Thank you, Press. Keep moving. Thank you.
Okay, no questions. Kaboom! This has concluded. What's up, fam? What's up, fam? Drop a like, consider subscribing. Welcome. We are, like I just told you a couple minutes ago, in about 1 hour, we're going to be having this conversation. So get mega ready. Why are we down? Classic crypto, classic gold, classic everything coming down. But it is the story of our life. You know, it just happens. But better things are coming ahead. I'm pretty sure. I know it's coming ahead, and I'm all in crypto the same way that some of you guys are. We've been listening from a lot of people today, right? They're trying not to get into a shutdown. Full Senate will soon review the Clarity Act for voting. And now we're going to have this one coming in pretty soon. Donald J. Trump giving us a complete summary of what's actually cooking for the U.S. And usually it will take much longer, but not this time. It will take easily twice as long if everybody would talk, but no. That's what they did. And they didn't even take any questions. Why is that? Who knows? But no questions, and which is not normal. It's not usual for Donald J. Trump. We'll take a look at some of the comments and questions if you guys have. I mean, obviously, I was mostly listening because that's what I do, right? I invite you. This is how I learn. This is what I listen. This is what it goes all through my mind. And you guys are also invited. But when people ask me at any point in the year, I just go back to all the things that we've been learning together. And it is day in, day out. You ask me about Ripple case, lawsuit, I tell you because we all know. But you ask me about the next Fed chair. He just told us that he's going to announce next week. There's so much going on in the country for the economy. But crypto and as a risky asset gets affected and moved by a lot of things. Okay? Glad have been stacking gold, silver, and crypto since 2019. Let me go ahead and add the comments here. Let's lean and pause and make them bigger. Oh, perfect. So we got the first comment from For the Crown saying, you've been stacking gold and silver since 2019 and you don't care if gold, silver, or crypto pumps. You're just holding the line. Very good, buddy. Very good. Well done. Also, guys, links down below to BTCC. Go ahead and join us for the 2000 XRP giveaway. We got a brand new website for you, cryptoramos.com. So for sure, check it out. You will find it right there too. We also have BitUnex. Shout out to our partners, BitUnex, right? You will find my link down there in the comments too. We just joined with them and I've worked with them before. BitUnex, I met them in Singapore, in Dubai. Great people. Another exchange that is doing a lot. So if you guys want to form different portfolios, right, and trade and find new strategies, all exchanges have something for you. Well, check it out. Always do your research. Always do your research before investing. And what is next? We're going to be listening in about an hour. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and close the live soon because I want to rest up and get a little bit of energy and then come back because that might take another hour plus. We don't know. Majestic says, I'm grabbing every crash. Works out good for me. Well done. I adore that. That's pretty nice. Gold and silver are only going up. It's over. Hope you saying it's over. I don't think it's over, but it's gonna be hurtful for a lot of people. Thank you, JV. Good to see you, brother. The Clarity Act get moved forward, not yet. For going to the president, not yet. But we're hearing that Democrats are basically all against Clarity Act. Democrats are not going to vote for the Clarity Act, but that's what some Republicans are working them out because many of them are just a big no-no, big no-no. And poll right now, we got like almost 5,000 votes. Also, about 5,000 people join our live today. So give it up for them. Thank you so much. I give you guys a round for coming in. We appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Buy the dip, Oscar, 100%. Yeah, I've been buying the dip every single day. Thankfully, we're just doing it. At the end of the day, it's going to pay off eventually. It's going to pay off. TJ in the house, of course. I would like for it to go up, but this is an opportunity to buy XRP, says Michael. So, Michael, good to see you, brother, and welcome. Good to see you. Oscar, long time, my friend. Scotland in the house. What's up, Scotland? Good to see you guys. I want to go so many places, and Scotland is one of them. All right. Well, everybody, I was eating a huarache. I don't know if you know what that is, right? If you know, shout out to you. But I was eating a huarache. Looks like a taco, but it's corn tortilla. It was so delicious. I was eating with some friends yesterday, and I left a bit. But now I'm eating some, like burger meat and sweet potato. So we'll relax for a bit and we'll come back strong with a brand new live. Today we got a perfect live, so it's really nice. Ricky, is the bull run over? Brother, the bull run hasn't even started. So just FYI. Let me just tell you this. Right now, everybody's crying out loud because they didn't buy gold when it was cheap, or silver. Later in the future, people will be crying out loud because they didn't buy Bitcoin and XRP when it was cheap. I'm just going to leave it like that. Gold and silver. I'm in my early 30s, bro. And gold and silver was already known for years. I mean, anybody remember, right, when the U.S., was taken out from gold and then they went to the dollar. Right now, you see the dollar collapsing and gold getting stronger, right? So you see what I'm saying? So things are changing right now, and it's okay that gold and silver are doing really well, but people want instant gratification results with Bitcoin and crypto. I don't blame you guys. Don't blame you, because obviously that sounds really well, but I just want to be prepared once we actually explode, All right. What I choose? Yeah, some people know that. That's awesome. Very well, my friends. I'm going to go ahead and relax a bit. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you to all my admins. Thank you, everything. We'll be watching this super, super closely. If I click here, yeah. So coming in 52 minutes. So we'll be here live. Subscribe. We'll be here. Just give me a few minutes to relax, unwind, eat, relax, and we'll be coming in. It's going to be so good. Let's take a look at the details. It's going to take an hour. So it's going to be fine, 1 hour. Eleanor Tourette. So she's going to be the one asking questions. So, all right. Hopefully it's a good one. So I'll see you there soon. God bless you all. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate every single one of you. Links down below. Join our Discord. Join our Telegram. Links are down there. You guys have all things to succeed. And I'll see you next time. Peace. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate that a lot. See you soon. See you in a bit. So go ahead. Touch some grass. And I'll see you back. All the 3,000 plus of you. This is the beginning of the future. Getting now, don't wait. Look, bro, I couldn't buy a house at $20,000. I bought a house at $200,000. But if I ask my grandma, if you ask your parents, they're going to be like, oh, yes, son, we bought a house. 20,000, 10,000. Not because they were so smart and like, oh, look, let's buy because in 20 years it's going to be. No. It's because the market. You can buy under $2 XRP right now. Just remember that. Peace. I wish I could play the song, but copyright.